What is going on YouTube? Astria Truth Exposed. Today's video we're going to be breaking down a person that is regarded as or worshipped as and similar as Jesus of the hip hop game, which is completely ridiculous. We're going to be talking about the sacrifice of Tupac Shakur. Even to this day, people worship this man regardless of all the craziness that went on with him. To understand the full story, let's go back to childhood. Everyone seems to think that he was this gangster from the very beginning, when really he had plenty of opportunities that people in the hood did not have. He was well spoken, he had his family, he had everything that people in the hood does not have. He went to a school called the elite Baltimore School for the Arts, an elite school. This school was in Baltimore, Maryland, and let me tell you the alumni, the people who went to this school before. It consists of 8 former U.S. presidents, actors, musicians, and one of these actors happened to be Jada Smith. Isn't that strange? He was groomed for success, groomed for Hollywood, and groomed for the Freemasons. His relationship with Jada was put together for publicity. This school was started in 1979 by a task force and the mayor. Task force goes back to the military, the government. Let's talk about his big break. His big break came in 1991 when he signed to Interscope, and that was controlled by Jimmy Iovine. Now, in 1992, Interscope got the rights to market and distribute records from Death Row. Tupac's first album was called Tupacalypse Now, which was his debut album. Now, in 1995, at the height of his career, he was arrested for rape. And of course, everybody just ignored it and said the person was lying, as always. He had a $3 million bond set. So at the time, he was basically broke. Even though he was at the height of his career, his net worth was $200,000. And you can see with the jewelry he wore and all that he blew that money pretty fast. But what you don't know is he had funders. He had grown men, that was giving him money. And you can only imagine what he was doing for that money. While in jail, Tupac came across Illuminati talk. He came across rumors and was hearing about the Illuminati. And this led to him coming up with the word Killuminati, which is kill and Illuminati put together. Kill the Illuminati. Suge Knight, which helped co-found Death Row Records, went to Jimmy Iovine, because Jimmy Iovine controlled Interscope, who Tupac was originally signed to. There was like a merger. So Jimmy Iovine sent Suge Knight, after he signed Suge Knight, he sent Suge Knight to go get Tupac out of jail, right? Tupac was stuck in jail. He did not have the $1.3 million to bond out. Suge Knight wrote up a contract on a piece of toilet paper, a napkin, and got Tupac to sign the contract. If he signed the contract, he would be free. He would be released from jail, and then he would have to recoup that money through the contract, which I'll show you the contract now states about him recouping the bond, the bail money. If he denied this contract, he would stay in jail. So just imagine you was facing all this jail time at the height of your career, and you could not bond out. And then someone offers you a contract for $3 million for 3 albums in 1995, and you get out of jail for free. Basically, you have to pay it back, but it's free at the time. It was a no-brainer. But what he didn't realize was how bad that contract really was. He signed for, like I said, $3 million, but $1.3 million had to be recouped on the bail alone. And we know how these record labels charge you for dinners, charge you for studio time. So he was going to accrue about acquire about $5 million in debt just from making the album and his bail. His net worth, like I said, was $200,000 before he signed. Isn't that insane? Tom Whaley was the man who originally signed Tupac back for his first album to Interscope, and he still controls Tupac stuff to this day. So Tom Whaley had a percentage of Tupac. Jimmy Iovine had a percentage of Tupac. The record label, Interscope, and Death Row split a percentage of Tupac. And then lastly, Suge Knight had a percentage of Tupac. So Tupac realized that he couldn't have been getting no more than 15 to 20% of his earnings. That's why he only had $200,000, because the Tom guy completely screwed him in the first contract, and then he got even more screwed in a contract merger between two record labels, 3 people, including Suge Knight. He started to realize how bad these contracts were. He couldn't get out of it, though. He owed all this money in debt, and he was scared of going back to jail. So this led to a series of events. This led to a few things taking place, right? Tupac on Death Row was signed with these other gangster rappers, right? So this is when he became a gangster. This is when he started portraying that image, the West Coast, this and that, when we know he was never a gangster. Now, the bathtub photo shoot of April 1996, shot by this gay photographer. Let me see if I can find his name. Well, you see it on here. It's LaChapelle is the name of the photographer. Oddly enough, this photographer also did the photo shoot for Travis Scott's Astroworld. You can do what you want with that information. This photo shoot, you can see how zesty this is. Tupac looking at his ass like a woman in the mirror, sitting in the bathtub with suds around him, and letting a gay man take his photograph while naked. Despicable. Now, 5 months after that incident, after that ritual, he was shot and killed. But the important thing is, between that photo shoot, him knowing he's getting robbed in the contract, he started talking to Quincy Jones about signing to him, about leaving Death Row. And we know how Suge Knight operated. He would not allow that to happen. And then oddly enough, after those rumors of him wanting to leave, he's shot and killed in the car with Suge Knight. Look at this picture taken with Tupac and Suge Knight. The last picture, besides the one that's in the car. Suge Knight wearing that all red devil suit with that ominous grin. Right? Tupac was hit 4 times in that car, in the chest, pinpoint accuracy. A bullet, even, you can see in the autopsy, his skull exposed from the bullets hitting him. That was a targeted hit. You can't kill one man specifically in a car without it being targeted, without you being a good shot. Even if you pull up next to him, the odds of shooting the driver too is very high unless you are trained. His last album, the Illuminati, the 7-Day Theory, which I'm not going to get into the gematria, but there's so much gematria with that. He's portrayed as Jesus on the cross. This album was released after he died, right? He's talking about Illuminati, killing the Illuminati, and he got killed. Then they put him on the cross to portray him as Jesus, which he's still worshipped as Jesus to this very day in hip-hop. People still talk about this man to this very day. He died with a net worth of $200,000, and then just from his last album that he put out after he died, he made $60 million. So you're telling me in 1995, at the height of his career, after doing movies, after doing albums, he only had $200,000. That's because he had all those people in his pocket. That same year he died, his mom had to sue for $1 million over royalties because they was completely coming in like vultures, taking percentages, taking his money, taking his royalties. Same thing they was doing to him while he was alive. That's why he wanted out. That same year, 1996, Dr. Dre left. Suge Knight did not want Tupac to leave, and he knew if Tupac was going to leave, he would kill him and he would be worth more. Tupac would have, you don't know the trajectory. He could have fell off years after if he was still alive. He was a lot of money in debt. He was way indebted to the labels. They had him so far down in debt. It was ridiculous. His mom had to sue for the royalties. The same year that Suge Knight signed Tupac is the same year Eazy-E died. And we know all the theories concerning that. This all went back to the same thing that goes on now. Tupac was the first rapper to have an album released after his death. And then look how many came after him. It set the trend for this occurrence. Thank you for watching.